Alrighty, so a little bit of a different style video here. It's another tier list, but this time it's about Marvel Rivals characters, and mainly doing this just because I play Marvel Rivals in my off time. Yes, I am a working man now, so I needed some downtime every now and again throughout the week. And I've been playing it a little bit, here and there. Got to Gold 1, one win away from Platinum. I don't have crazy amount of playtime in the game, but, I've got like 30 to 50 hours roughly, which doesn't sound like a lot, but, I think I've got a good grasp of every character. For reference, I am a tank main, and I, sometimes called the best Groot NA when I'm in ranked. You'll see me in the ladder. It is what it is, but, yeah, I'm not huge on Marvel stuff. Like, I don't watch a lot of Marvel stuff. I recently watched the Guardians of the Galaxy and Endgame for the first time, so I'll probably do videos on that, just because I do like MMA content, but I'll be honest, it's really dry right now, so, gotta get my daily slop out somehow. But yeah, this is gonna be my tier list on Marvel Rivals as a tank main, specifically Groot. Yes, I am a Groot main. I actually started playing Groot before watching Guardians of the Galaxies. I don't watch a lot of Marvel stuff. I've watched The Punisher show. Outside of The Punisher show, I think the last thing I watched from Marvel was probably either The Incredible Hulk or I don't even know, the Daredevil movie, I guess. One of the original Iron Mans, Iron Man 2 maybe? I don't know. I'm not huge into Marvel. Let's just say that. But yeah, with that being said, let's get into the tier list. Of course, we're gonna go by, S tiers, like the S tier characters, A tiers, pretty good characters, B, C, D. I'm not gonna really be ranking them based off their synergies. So the team-up abilities, I don't really give a fuck about team-ups, to be honest with you. I think team-ups are kind of overplayed in this, or not overplayed, but some of them are very overrated. Some of them are sneaky good, but yeah. With that being said, let's just start alphabetical. We have good old Adam Warlock. Now, Adam Warlock is a little bit of a interesting case, because I think no one knows how to play Adam Warlock correctly, and they're just out there spamming buttons, and Adam Warlock, I think, is kind of a sleeper support, but he has a really high skill ceiling, I think, compared to the rest of them. He's got a little bit of an opposite of Jeff's situation, where I think he's got a really good kit, and his ultimate isn't too bad, but I just don't think people know how to, like, use him properly, yeah, his damage output is kind of insane for support. His healing is pretty good. I think I'm gonna put him at A. I don't think he's, like, that crazy good. His ultimate is really good, and I know it's based around where he is, or I believe it's around where he is. It's like a 30-meter radius on him, wherever he places his ult. That's what revives the players. Really good ultimate, basically Mercy 2.0. Also, I've come from Overwatch, not crazy into that game either, maybe a couple hundred hours, but, yeah, regardless, yeah. So, Adam Warlock, I think, does a lot of damage. He's got some good healing, some pretty long cooldowns, to be fair, for a healer, so he's not always going to be healing, which is, I think, is the only reason why I'm not putting him in S, because I feel like S tier healers kind of got to be healing the team always. Or at least, like, doing their supporter role, and I know support is, like, more than just healing, but yeah, I think Adam Warlock, I don't think he can, like, solo carry a team, but I think he, if played by, like, the highest skill-gapped person, or not skill-gapped, sorry, the higher skilled person, I think an Adam Warlock main is a pretty fearsome threat, inside the Marvel Rivals game, but yeah, I do think he's good. He just kind of gets picked off sometimes, and his passive being able to just revive himself sounds really good on paper, but there's not a whole lot of situations where I'm, like, thankful Adam Warlock had, like, a second life there. But I guess it can be good in scenarios where your team is kind of just stalling out, but if Adam goes down, it's kind of like you're down a healer, and then your team's probably not stalling. So there's definitely situations, and I think in high skill, high tier play, like in tournaments and shit, Adam Warlock is probably like S tier, but I'm gonna put him at A tier just because for at least ranked, there's not a lot of like good Adam Warlocks out right now, and I think he needs some time to cook, Team up abilities I'm not going off of, but I think they're a little overrated as well. Star-Lord and Mantis. It's helpful, but I don't know. The double revive, to me, just doesn't seem that good. Ultimate is pretty good. But yeah, moving on, we have Iron Fist. Iron Fist, I think it's the way everyone plays him, but I think Iron Fist is like a B tier character. He can be good if he gets to the backline, and your backline is like Adam Warlock with no mobility, and like Luna Snow, who's not running away from Iron Fist. Or like if you have a Black Widow, but like why the fuck do you have a Black Widow? It's like, he can be good against certain team comps, but for the most part, everyone who plays Iron Fist is ooga booga, let me just go to the backline, and they just get shredded. I've yet to see like a high IQ Iron Fist, but I think Iron Fist kit kind of relies on him to jump in, a little like Wolverine's. So I'm just going to put him at B tier. I think he might suffer from noob stomping, and they'll probably end up nerfing him, and then he just won't be played that much after getting nerfed a few times. That's kind of my theory with Iron Fist, but I don't think he's that good. Yeah. But anyways, moving on to Iron Man. I think Iron Man is... Now, Iron Man has a really, really good ult. He has a good concept of being Pharah, so he's just always in the sky. The only problem with Iron Man is that he's slow in the air. Like, anyone with, like, not even suboptimal aim. Anyone with, like, decently accurate eyeballs is going to be able to hit Iron Man, and he doesn't really have that much mobility in the sky. He also can't defend objectives. Yeah, I think I'm going to put him in B. It's kind of hard to play a good Iron Man that doesn't get flamed. Because if you're a good Iron Man, you're pretty much going to be in the sky 24/7, constantly picking off, like, their enemy backline, landing your ults on, like, the healers, big shit like that. But the problem is that normally when you have an Iron Man, you don't notice you have an Iron Man until he ults. And then when you're fighting an Iron Man, he's kind of just, like, trying to stay away from you. Like, even as Groot, someone who's got a little less range, I find, like, I own every Iron Man I meet, just because, like, there's not really too many situations where Iron Man can get away, at least in some of these maps, at, like, good choke points where he's, like, free from danger, you know? I think you gotta master the angles, and you gotta master, like, being near non-destructible environment. Otherwise, building goes down, and then Iron Man's just a sitting duck in the air, and everyone's focusing him. But I think he's got a good kit. I think if he was just a little faster in the sky, he could even be S tier. Like, he would probably make a big jump like that. But I think because he can't really contest payload effectively, otherwise you're kind of just inting as Iron Man. His ultimate is definitely, like... His ultimate alone might get him A tier. His ultimate is so good. Now, I think I'm going to leave him at B tier. He just doesn't have enough mobility to be that useful, in my opinion. You know? And I know he's, like, in the air all the time, but it's just he doesn't move fast enough out of projectiles to really be effective with Iron Man. I haven't even played Iron Man, but I think I have a rough estimation of how his kit works. Anyways, moving on, we have Jeff the Shark. Now, Jeff is this weird balance of his ult is probably the best ult in the game, but his kit sucks ass. His healing is kind of dog water. He doesn't have that great mobility. He's kind of hard to hit, but I think everyone's kind of fought enough Jeffs to, like, be able to hit that little shark fin in the ground. I think I'll put him C tier. I don't think I want to put him D tier, only because I think D tier is, like, you're a stinker, and it's, like, you're trolling if you pick that character. You know, troll pick, pretty much. But I think C tier is, like, they have something really good, but most of it's kind of ass. The team-ups aren't really that great for Jeff either. Groot's team-up and Luna Snow, I know I'm not basing it off that, but they're kind of dog shit as well. Yeah, there's not really a lot I can say about Jeff. I mean, he gives the team a decent bit of movement speed, but some people can do that passively. And with Jeff, you kind of have to do a lot more work to, like, Jeffs pretty much have to always be active on their keyboard, and it feels like most Jeffs are kind of just emoting in spawn. You know? Or they're, fucking going up a wall in their little fin form, while they're swimming, I guess. Yeah, not that great. Anyways, moving on. We, obviously, his ult. Like, I mean, need I say less about Jeff's ult? I feel like everyone who's played this game knows of a Jeff ult just getting the entire team and then him just throwing your entire team off. But that being said, most of the time, Jeffs are really dumb and they don't know that, like, you look down when you're looking over an edge to spit out enemy players, because normally if you just spit them above you, they will just find a way to get to ground. Yeah. But yeah, I think Jeff's kit is really aging, and a lot of people are just realizing he's kind of dog shit, other than his ultimate, and that's really the only reason you play him. Or you just have your 2 DPS spamming to play Jeff, because your DPS think that Jeff is actually good. Anyways, moving on, we have Loki. Loki's a little bit interesting, because I only recently found out that his clones actually do damage and heal. I think a good Loki can solo support, and I think he's the best solo support in the game. I think I'd probably rate him as the best support in the game. There might be one exception, but I think Loki can just do everything aside from big damage. And I'm sure there's going to be Loki mains that are like, well, I do highest DPS every game. I get that, but I feel like on average, Loki is probably the lowest DPS. Not the lowest. He definitely does more than Jeff. He pretty much has a better Jeff kit. And yeah, he's got a much better kit than Jeff. And his ultimate could be equal because you could just like copy Jeff. And I think his ultimate is also another really good point for why he's S tier. Having the ability to be any character on your roster or on their team is absolutely insane. There's been many times where I've had 2 Groots on my team thanks to a Loki, and it's literally just like unkillable walls everywhere, and then we just make sure the enemy team can't move. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And then on top of that, you can steal some of the best ults in the game, like a Winter Soldier, like a Moon Knight's not bad, even taking that for the point. You know, even taking Penny's ult, which is a really good one. And even if there's not really great ults to take, like let's say there's like Hulk, and Hulk's not really that great at the moment, I would say. Or they don't have a Hela for whatever reason, and they just have like, I don't know, Storm, and you don't know how Storm works. Shit like that. Even if you don't know how some of the characters' ults work, you can still be Loki and just take something consistent, like a Mantis ult, like a, where's his fucking face? Even Spider-Man to some extent. Like, you can just pick easy characters like Rocket, and then you can use their ult, and then get out of your form sort of situation. So, I do really like Loki. I think Loki's probably one of the best. He's got great survivability. I do think in higher tier games, it is a lot harder to kill, or sorry, it's a lot easier to kill Loki, but I think good Lokis are kind of like learning tech. You know, I think Lokis are really figuring out some tech with Loki. And I think he'll only scale as the game goes on with more characters and everything. So, yeah, I think Loki players are kind of demons, and I think he deserves S tier, personally. Moving on, we have Luna Snow. Now, this might be a hot take. While Luna Snow does have probably the best ult in the game, I just think she's really, like, not that good. Just being honest. Like, her healing is good, but she's got very low survivability. I know she self-heals when she uses abilities. I think that's her passive. Like, when she uses her own abilities, she just heals, but, like, that's kind of it. And she's kind of got some decent cooldowns. She can freeze. I think Luna Snow, I think Luna Snow is really good in lower ranks, but I think in higher ranks, Adam Warlock is kind of just a better Luna Snow. While Luna Snow's ult is really good, probably one of the best ults in the game, could be the best support ult in the game now that I think about it. Maybe the Copycat is better, but, yeah, I think it's just because whenever I fight a Luna Snow, maybe it's just my experience, the Luna Snows are always kind of dog shit. Like, they either just get picked, or they're not running away, and then they try to, like, out-DPS me on a tank. And it's like, you don't have enough self-healing there, little bro. You know what I mean? Like, Luna Snow could probably never solo heal, but she's probably a really good duo heal, you know? Where, like, Adam Warlock, I can kind of see a solo heal, even though his healing isn't that great. I can see Loki being a solo heal. I don't think Luna Snow's built for that. I think she's built for, like, a duo heal. And a lot of the times, people are playing like GF Luna Snow, which I don't think are great combos. But yeah, not a huge fan of Luna Snow. But she is a support, and supports are really good in this game. Like, really, really good in this game. So, yeah, I'll put Luna Snow lower A, I think is fair. Anyways, moving on, we have Magic. I'll be honest, I've not seen a good Magic player ever. I don't think I've ever seen a Magic player do better than any DPS in the game. They're normally dog shit, but I know her kit is really, really good, and I know if you play her properly, like hunting the backline, she can be really good. Normally whenever I see a Magic stomp, it's because someone else is stomping. I think a lot of people put Magic as like S tier. I'll put her as A tier because I've seen the competitive games, right? Like, I have seen tournaments. I have seen, like, big tournament plays. I have seen stuff like that, right? Where Magic is almost picked in every single game. But, like, she doesn't... At least I'm not seeing players that pop off with her, you know? I think Magic is probably really good. I think she's probably a lot more picked in higher ranks. But I think she's probably got a high skill gap, and a lot of people just can't figure her out. Maybe that's just me. Moving on, we have Magneto. A lot of people rank Magneto either really high or really low. I think I'm just gonna put him in... Ooh. I'm gonna put him in B tier. And that'll probably trigger some people. I think I'm gonna put him in B tier for the simple fact that I find as Magneto, either playing or going against, the moment you have a melee character is like the moment Magnetos kind of panic and they don't know what to do. You know? Like, the moment you have an Iron Fist or even a Wolverine, Panther, fucking, who else? Venom. Venom's a really good counter to Magneto, in my opinion, from my experience. You know, Thor's a killer counter into Magneto. Magneto can't really, like, he's got the best shield in the game for sure, because he's almost like a support tank, because he can just shield anyone from any ults. Or not any ults, but I think like most of the ults. And he's really good at blocking other ults. But he's kind of this... He's like a counterpick to the enemy team. He's not really good into every team. He's kind of only good into certain comps. Like, really good against Hela, and because Hela's meta... You know, you could probably make an argument that he should be A tier. But I just find he's so easily countered. Either on my team or on the enemy team, it's like, once you have a Venom, Magneto basically does nothing the whole game. You know, or at least a decent Venom. You know, Scarlet Witch isn't that bad of a pick. I've even seen Spider-Man's kind of counter the fuck out of him, at least with the ultimate. Even though I think you can shield from the ults. Like, Magneto's kind of good if they have a really good Hawkeye, or if they have a really good Hela, which are pretty popular, at least in my ranks, or if they have a Star-Lord that's kind of pissing people off, or a Moon Knight that's in the back, which are all really, really popular characters, and I think that's why a lot of people rate Magneto so highly. But I think if you Overwatch the fuck out of Magneto by counterpicking Magneto, you effectively make Magneto's kit, like, half as useful. And I think that's, like, the average of Magnetos that I see. I rarely see a Magneto be picked and no one swaps to a melee fighter. You know, even when I pick Magneto, people are then running fucking Panther on me, or they're running, like, even Wolverine. I was getting the name. You know, even Captain America is a decent pick. Doctor Strange isn't too bad either. Yeah, there's just a lot of ways. Even Groot. Groot's really good into Magneto, at least from my experience. You know, there's a lot of situations where I just think Magneto is just missing something in the team comp. Like, Groot has a wall and breaks line of sight and kind of protects a lot of team from when you see a lot of your team getting weak. That's what I love about Groot. Magneto is like, you put a self wall or a shield on, like, another person, which is good, but, like, you have to be really, really good at that as Magneto. You know? So, I don't know. I think Magneto's kind of hard to solo carry as well. You can't really just have a Magneto unless your entire team is, like, all backlines. You know? Like, you're looking at a Winter Soldier, Hela, Hawkeye, and then maybe a Luna Snow and either Loki or Adam Warlock. That team comp is probably fucking really hard to deal with. Or an Iron Man somewhere in there. Like, that team comp would probably be cancer to deal with. But I find Magneto is like, he either complements a team or he's getting countered by a team, you know? And that's kind of the problem I have with him. Anyways, moving on with Mantis. Mantis is really good. I think I'm just going to put her in S tier. Great damage, great healing, can heal a lot of people, low cooldowns, good stunning effect. Basically, I think she's just a better Luna Snow with a worse ultimate. Yeah, she's like a Luna Snow that can deal damage, like, a lot more often than Luna Snow can, while sacrificing a little bit of the healing. But to be honest, if healing is like the only problem and you have 2 supports on your team, I think it's not really a healer problem. I think it's a DPS ooga booging and tanks not realizing that they need to break line of sight. I said it, alright, you selfish fucks. I'm one of you. Anyways, moving on. We have Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight is really high A tier. I think Moon Knight is really good. He's got good do I put him in S tier? God, Moon Knight is really good. His onks are really good, but they're easy to take down. His ultimate is really good. It's so hard to rank Moon Knight. Because, like, do I rank him based off the way players play him? Because some of these players are, like, dumb with Moon Knight, and they think they can just run at any tank and beat a tank 1v1 every time. Sometimes they can. I think I'll put him in high A. This kit's so good, though. Being able to get out. I'll put him in S tier. I don't know, something's wrong about me putting him in S tier, though. It's like I've seen so many dumb Moon Knights, though. But that's not really Moon Knight's fault. That's the player's fault. I think I'll put him in S tier. I think his kit is really underrated. 2 onks up, uncontested. If they have 2 onks on your backline, they're just dead after one shot. His ultimate is really good for payloads and for points. There's not really any situation you don't want a Moon Knight. Yeah, there's really, like, Moon Knight fits into every comp. I can't think of a comp he doesn't. If your team is if your comp is like Captain America, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye, Black Widow for whatever dumb reason, and then, like, you know, Mantis, Loki, or whatever supports, or even Jeff, I don't see a reason to not run Moon Knight into, like, an all close quarters comp, or into, like, a rangy comp, because he's got good range. I don't think it's hit scan. I think he has travel speed on his, kunai, or whatever the fuck it is, his little fucking Batman boomerangs, I don't know. But yeah. I think Moon Knight's kit is really good. The onks are good. He's got good escaping ability with his gliding and everything. He's got... His ultimate's really good. He's got solid stats. I think he's got, what, 250 or 275 HP? Which I think is just normal. So yeah. There's, like, nothing bad about Moon Knight. Like, I can't think of anything bad about Moon Knight. I think he's just S tier, you know? I think the only weaknesses of these S tier characters are going to be players being stupid with them, you know? Loki has a lot of survivability. Mantis has great survivability, helps the team, and can do a lot of damage while helping the team. And then Moon Knight just does a fuck ton of damage. So, yeah. Anyways, Namor. I love Namor. He's probably my favorite DPS. I think his name's Namor. I hope I'm not butchering it. He's probably my favorite DPS. Got a little bit of a weird kit. I think he's sneaky underrated because not a lot of people shoot his Octopi. And I think with like, this is the only character so far that I can think of where a team up really, really matters, at least on this list. I think I'll put Namor high A tier. No. He's, like, really frail, though. Like, he does have his bubble. Yeah, I'll put him low A tier. Because I think Namor is really good. But the problem with Namor is that his survivability is kind of low. He does get 2-shot by a lot of people. Especially if they're landing headshots. And he does kind of have a big head. You know, debuff of a male character hitbox, I guess. But his little bubble that he has is kind of cool, but it's not that practical. Sometimes it's kind of like bad because you put yourself like up in the air where everyone can kind of see you if you're not careful. I think he's got a decent skill gap, and he doesn't have crazy mobility. I think that's why he's probably low A tier. A little bit of a worse magic, just with some assistance in the Octopi department. I think his ultimate's kind of sleeper good, but at the end of the day, I think it's like kind of a worse Moon Knight ult. It's kind of just a stun and not really much else. It's got great combos with things, but, you know, maybe a better Groot ultimate, but not that, like, crazy otherwise. Would it be a better Groot ultimate? Yeah, I think it'd be a better Groot. Yeah, I'd probably say Namor's just a better Groot ultimate, and then he's got decent DPS, you know? You pretty much either have a Namor that's topping DPS out of the whole lobby, even if you lose, or you have a Namor that can't do anything, and he swapped to, like, 15 different characters. Anyways, moving on, we have Panther. I think Panther is being played a lot more, and I think a lot of people are understanding how he plays. I just think he's a worse Magic. I can't see a lot of situations where I want a Panther over a Magic. And I think his combos are really good. But I think I think he's just low B. You know? There's not a lot of situations where I want Panther over other characters. You know? And there's not a lot of situations where I think Panther's actually that useful. At the end of the day, he is kind of just like reliant on getting to your backline and then killing your backline. And if he doesn't do that, he can sometimes 1v1 a low tank. But like that's kind of it, I guess. There's a lot of times where I think it's 300 HP. It's just not enough to survive the DPS of a lot of the characters out right now. So I'll put Panther in low B. Just my opinion. Moving on, we have Penny. I think Penny's actually one of the best tanks in the game. But I think a lot of the time it relies on other things than Penny. So I think I'm going to put Penny on really high A tier. Like really, really high A tier. Only because Penny alone can out DPS everyone in the lobby. Penny alone is really annoying when she can set up mines everywhere she wants. Penny alone can also have decent survivability while she's in her nest and using her ultimate. But normally she requires, like, you might get one good pick as Penny, but she requires a decent amount of healing if you're trying to, like, solo tank as Penny, you know? She requires somebody else to really assist with the DPS department so that her racking up damage on some of these opponents where they're like, oh, I'm just being hit by Penny, no big deal, and then the opponent gets sniped by Hawkeye. You know, she requires somebody to finish the job, I guess, a lot of the time. So she's either getting a pick or she's relying on someone to get a pick off of someone she's made low. And then she's really hard to engage on, so she's a decent counter to, like, Venom and stuff like that. Like, really high engage characters, or like a Wolverine, but, like, Wolverine sucks. Or an Iron Fist, but Iron Fist isn't really that good in my opinion right now. She's really good when you, like, Thor, like, she's really good into melee comps. Really, really good into melee comps. But she kind of suffers whenever she's against, like, a Hawkeye, or a Hela, or even Groot at times. I find I kind of steamroll a lot of Pennies. You know, Punisher in the turret, it's kind of, like, rough for Penny to really get a peek on that, you know? So, having the 2-second stun, though, is really, really good. Now, I think I'm going to give her really high A tier, but she does have some gaps. Like, her nest goes down, and she kind of has to move, you know? As Penny, you really don't want to be out of your nest, and if you are out of your nest, you're kind of at risk from just getting jumped by a really good melee character. Especially because she naturally just has lower HP. I think she only has 600, so yeah, I'm putting her really high A tier because she's really good with, like, everything, but she does have a weakness. But anyways, moving on, we have Psylocke. I think Psylocke is an easy S tier. I think Psylocke does really, really high damage. I think ultimate is really good for shutting down areas, has really wide range, even bigger range than the actual circle itself, it feels like sometimes. Does a shit ton of damage, like I said, can solo tanks, can solo DPS, she can solo everything in the game. Kinda the only weakness with Psylocke is when you see Psylocke make mistakes, like when they miss shots, or when they're trying to 1v1 while at low health, situations like that. Normally, if a Psylocke is full HP, you're probably not killing Psylocke 1v1 as any character with 0 assistance. If you are, it's typically because you landed all your shots and they missed all their shots. That's kind of how that goes. Moving on, we have Raccoon. Rocket. I think a lot of people shit on Rocket, but I think Rocket is like sneaky good because not a lot of people, I think, are focusing Rockets, and I think a lot of people just have this inherent, oh, Rocket's not that good. His healing, I think, is actually sleeper good because he just has so many healing orbs he can shoot, and they stick with a person while they're, I guess, missing HP. So as long as they're missing HP and you're not topping off people, so like middle of fights, that's when Rocket is like really, really good. Ultimate free damage is always nice, and if you pair the free damage by giving your entire team damage buffs while you're sitting there just trying to heal them, really good. Really good damage, sneaky good damage. I think his damage is kind of underrated, to be honest. He can kind of one-mag a lot of the champions, you know? I've been in situations as Rocket where, like, a Hela's pushing me, or, like, a Winter Soldier's pushing me, and I can just win the 1v1 because that Winter Soldier, you know, they miss one shot, or they have to reload, and I just catch them with all my shots, you know? Headshot damage is really nice on Rocket's weapon. I do think he's one of the weaker supports, but I think supports in this game are, like, really, really good. So, I'm gonna put Rocket as A tier, low A tier. I think he's just good. You know, solid damage, helps the team by giving damage buffs, which you don't see in the stats. A little bit of, like, I don't think there's anyone in... A little bit of a mix between Moira and, like, Mercy, I guess. Giving damage buffs and shooting orbs that heal allies while giving damage buffs. A little bit of a weird situation with Rocket. I really like his kit. Decent mobility. He's a small dude, so he's able to, like, kind of hide when he needs to, you know? I find Rockets are really good at getting out of a gunfight and then just being able to climb a wall and getting out of line of sight. Really, really good plays from Rockets. And then you can obviously heal while you're behind walls, shit like that. Not a lot of supports can do that in this game, so I think Rocket's actually sleeper good. Anyways, moving on, we have Scarlet Witch. I think Scarlet Witch is really good, ultimate really good, kit is pretty okay, she just requires to get close. I think she's at the top of B tier. I think she's really, really strong with the right teams, but overall, I do think, thinking about giving her low A, but I think high B is where I'm going to put her. Yeah, because she is kind of weak. Suffers from the same problem some of the DPSs do, like the super mobile ones, like Iron Man. She's got decent escape with her orb thing that she does, bird thing. I don't even know what whatever the fucking orb she turns into is. She is that. So I rate Scarlet Witch pretty highly. Does a lot of damage, and she's really decent into a lot of, I think, current comps with, like, Winter Soldier, you know, good if she gets to the back line on a Cloak and Dagger. She kind of fits multiple roles, and I think that's kind of what makes her sleeper good. Her time warpy orb thing that kind of stuns enemies for a second that are in it, I think is also sneaky good. I don't see a lot of people utilizing that as much, which I think they should be. So I'm going to put Scarlet Witch high B, but she definitely is missing something, you know? Whether it's like a large amount of survivability, faster escape, or a faster way to get to the backline, something like that. Normally, it's like if Scarlet Witch is in a team fight and the team dies, she's next. You know, Psylocke can at least get good escape from it. Loki can probably get good escape from it. You know, even Moon Knight has decent escape. It's really hard for a Scarlet Witch to get away just because it feels like her escape just isn't that fast, I guess. So I'll put her high B. I think she's overall better than everyone else in B tier. She's pretty versatile. She doesn't really have a weakness. I just don't think a lot of people play Scarlet Witch. And her ultimate is just fantastic, and that's kind of what carries her from being, like, C tier or below. Her ultimate is really, really good, especially if, like, you're on an open map or a point map. Can be pretty clutch there, especially match point situations. Really good to have Scarlet Witch. Anyways, moving on, we have Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's kind of shit. I think his ultimate's good, and there's definitely some good Spider-Mans, but I think overall his kit isn't that great. Yeah. Ugh, sorry, I'm still sick. That was probably disgusting to hear. Anyways, I think Spider-Man, his kit is just like, there's a lot of things in his kit to do the same thing I think other characters do, and Oh, he gets to your backline, then he ults. Wow, crazy, he just killed your backline. So can Iron Fist, so can Black Panther, you know, so can Magic, so can Psylocke, so can Moon Knight, you know, Jeff Ultimate. Like, there's a lot of things in this game that kind of remove backlines. Holy shit, 1 second. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose for a second. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've been just sick for a couple weeks. I apologize. Anyways, gotta get the daily slop out, baby. Yeah, Spider-Man, shit. He just does worse things than other people do. He has decent getaway, I guess, but who really cares? He's not really doing a lot of damage either. Yeah, I think Spider-Man's just kind of, at least I've never encountered like a really good Amazing Spider-Man. Ultimate really isn't that good. Squirrel Girl. Her kit seems pretty good. Definitely better than Namor. Not better than Magic, though. Is it better than Magic? Ooh, this is tough. I think the highest of A tier. Yeah. I think the highest of A tier for Squirrel Girl. Because I think Squirrel Girl, she does a lot of good things, but she doesn't have, like, her one flaw is that she doesn't have a great way to get out of a fight. She's got a really good stun. She's got really high damage. She's got ricochet damage. Great. So she can just spam down hallways. A little bit of, like, a Junkrat situation. Ultimate's really, really good. But a lot of the times you can kind of just shut down Squirrel Girl, and she kind of can't solo carry as DPS, I find, at least. You know, if you're looking for those really weird 3 tanks, 2 healers, 1 support sort of compositions. So, I think Squirrel Girl's kind of eh. I think she works, but, she's really good at what she does. She's just missing that escapability. A little bit of a worse Psylocke. Nah. A little bit of a worse Moon Knight, I want to say. You know, just no escapability, but really good CC. Really good, AoE. Really good ability to just spam down hallways. I think she's good. Good damage, yeah. Anyways, moving on, we have Star-Lord. Star-Lord, I think he's a better Iron Man. I think he does more damage when he's close up. He's able to kind of hover around, which will trick up a lot of console players. I'm a PC player, just for reference, and that's kind of how I know, because I see these console players play, and they just can't look up for the life of them. And if he gets to the backline, he can kind of just solo the backline, especially if he has ultimate. Really high burst damage. He's just a little slow, and I think that's what often gets him caught. He doesn't have a lot of escapability, especially if your team knows how to aim. I know there's going to be some situations where you're thinking, oh, well, this time, or last time I fought Star-Lord, he was able to get away because of Cocoon or something, right? I'm not really ranking team-ups, but regardless of that fact, it's like, outside of, like, his one rocket boot situation where he's able to, like, cut line of sight or something, that's kind of just, like, a good play from a Star-Lord. I just can't really see too many situations where I want Star-Lord over a Moon Knight or a Psylocke. And he kind of puts himself at risk with needing to be close. But I think he is better than Iron Man, mainly because he can contest point. His ultimate can definitely solo kill. Really good damage. Yeah, I think it's fine here. Moving on, we have Storm. Storm, I think, kind of is like... Storm, I think, has really good uses, but I don't think a lot of people know how to play Storm. I don't think Storm's going to get played for a long time. I'll put her at the low end of B. While I think her kit is unique, she's a little bit of a support DPS, which I don't think is like... Nah, I'm going to put her in C. She's a little bit like a support DPS with giving movement speed to allies to try to get them faster into the fight. Ultimate's pretty good, but she can get shot out of it pretty easily. Yeah, it's not really good things about Storm. A little bit faster in the air than Iron Man, so I think she's pretty good at that. Other than that, there's not really a great reason to run Storm. Anyways, moving on with Punisher. Punisher, I think, is solid. I put him... Nah, I'll put him a little below Magic, only because Punisher's main problem. Punisher's got a lot of good things going for him. Punisher's like a Bastion with the second health bar on turret mode, which is really, really good. And then Punisher also has pretty decent primary fire, has a big hitbox, really good ultimate. A lot of people think they're invincible when they use his ultimate. They're not. And they often get killed because they think they're invincible and they think they can just face tank everything. So I think that's where I'm going to put Punisher, only because, like, Punisher's ult is really, really good, but he doesn't have the mobility to really threaten his ultimate as often as I think a lot of Punisher players think. And I think most of the time, if you cut off a healer from Punisher, Punisher's almost, like, useless. You know? If he's not in turret mode, Punisher is kind of just a Soldier 76 with no ultimate running around. No Helix rockets either, you know? And I think he's, like, not that great for it. Grappling Hook is kind of cool. Or, not Grappling Hook, a zipline thing is pretty cool. But, yeah. Decent synergies, I guess, with Rocket. That's another thing why I put Rocket up here. I forgot about the revive thing he has on his ability. I think he's really good. I'll put him above Namor, actually. Yeah, I think Punisher... Punisher isn't better than Adam Warlock, though. Is he? Nah, I think he's... Yeah, I think he's better. Yeah, Punisher's kind of a hard DPS to do if you're just Punisher, you know? Punisher kind of requires an extra teammate with him. You know, Psylocke can probably 1v1 everyone. Punisher is probably losing every 1v1 to everyone. But he's really, really good once he has a team with him. Moving on, we have Thor. Thor, I think, is sneaky good. Here, I'll actually organize it by the position they are. So yeah, I'll put them like that. So we have the tanks, we have DPS, and then we have healer. Healers, I'll put over here. Yeah, there we go. And then that tank, and then these are all DPS. Yeah, I think that's fair. Anyways, just so it's a little bit more organized. I think Thor's really, really good. I think his damage is kind of crazy, and a lot of people don't realize. I think his ability to pick off teams is kind of crazy. He's almost like a tank Wolverine that's really good. So I think Thor's really good, ultimate really good, gets you out of danger really fast, and then you can just slam it down, or you can let it last in the air to get some more damage out of it. Yeah, Thor's kind of got, like, low negatives. His big negative is that if you don't have a healer on you and you're going against any person with range, like a Winter Soldier, like a Hawkeye, like a Hela, you are fucked every time as Thor, you know? Thor kind of just gets countered by a lot of things. But Thor's counters are kind of the opposite of Magneto's. So I think Magneto-Thor is actually a really good team comp. Only because they kind of outweigh each other's weaknesses, I'd say. Like, it's hard to play around a team that has a Thor and a Magneto, you know? So, yeah, I think good Thors are kind of a problem, and I think Thor's a really good character. I think overall he can 1v1 almost any tank, outside of Penny in her nest, I guess. And then he can 1v1 DPSs pretty comfortably, and he can 1v1, obviously, supports. So I think Thor's really good. Pretty sleeper good. Moving on, we have Black Widow. I think Black Widow's a troll pick. She's dog shit, has no survivability, very low escape potential, okay damage, but Hawkeye's just better. There's no reason to run Black Widow other than stare at her ass cheeks. Moving on, we have Venom. I think Venom's good, but Venom requires a lot of his kit, and then he has to run away. Like, you kind of have to plan really well with Venom. I think I'll put Venom worse than Magneto, because Venom counters things that counter range characters. So Venom's good if you have like Hawkeye, Hela, like Loki, and like Adam Warlock. If you have a team comp like that, Venom would be perfect supporting. But like Venom kind of struggles because his close quarters damage isn't great. So you're never really winning a 1v1 on Venom unless you're using all of your kit and you don't want to use it as a tank. And as a tank, he doesn't really do tank things other than disrupt the backline. But he disrupts the backline, he doesn't really kill the backline. So, I don't know. I'm going to put him above... No, below Magneto. I think he's low B tier for tanks, personally. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. We have Winter Soldier. I think he's an easy S. The only thing he doesn't have great is a great escape button. But his ultimate is insane. Especially because you can get the assists off of it, I believe. And then you can just again. And I think everyone knows the meme of again. And then again. And then Winter Soldier, what he does is again. And then afterwards, he agains. So... yeah, Winter Soldier definitely can pub stomp, definitely has a decently high skill ceiling. 3 shots in the mag, does really high damage, can probably 2-shot, I think, almost every support in the game, especially if he's given, like, a damage buff from Mantis. Anything on your team complements Winter Soldier, and I think that's the good thing about Winter Soldier. There's no bad situation where you don't want Winter Soldier. Moving on, we have Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger, I think, is kind of not being played properly. I think a lot of people are either in Dagger way too long, and they're not really doing enough support outside of the healing. Because I think how you should be playing Cloak and Dagger is that you should be in Cloak to throw out all your heals. Then you go... Or no, sorry. You should be in Dagger to throw out all your heals. And then you instantly swap to Cloak and start helping keeping your team alive by making them immune to, like, hit scan stuff. And then also being able to, like, blind enemies. Like, I think their kit is really, really good. But... I just don't think people play Cloak properly. You know, I think that's a big problem. I think I'll put them here. Yeah, better than Luda, Snow, and Raccoon, but definitely not better than Adam, because Adam's good everywhere. Cloak and Dagger, typically, like, they should have good survivability. Their healing bubble thing that they have is really good. Ultimate is solid, but not the greatest. Can't get easily shut out of the ultimate. Overall, like, a Cloak and Dagger is not going to carry the team. But a Cloak and Dagger is always nice to have on the team. I think is really good. Like, you definitely want a Cloak and Dagger over Jeff, right? But you probably will still take Mantis or Loki over a Cloak and Dagger any day of the week. At least that's just me personally. I think their kit is something that's going to grow on. And eventually it'll probably be, like, one of the best supports. But right now, I just don't think they are. Moving on, we have Wolverine. Wolverine, I think, is dog shit. I think is probably the worst DPS in the game. Really good at picking out a person and then bringing them to the team. But then you have to rely on the team to do things. In terms of just, like, focusing one enemy. And that's, like, the hardest thing to do in any hero shooter. So, yeah. Also, low survivability. Also, not the greatest DPS because you can just... Anyone with a dash or a little bit of mobility gets away from Wolverine, then Wolverine's fucked. Moving on, we have Captain America. Captain America is not that great, I'll be honest. I think he might be the worst tank. Get in. There we go. I think he is probably the worst tank. Yeah. Is Venom worse? No. Nah, because at least with Venom, you're, like, most of the time directing aggro. It feels like with Captain America, either everyone will just focus Captain because they see someone start focusing Captain and his shield's down, or no one cares about Captain and Captain America's not really doing anything. I just never see Captain do anything in any comp ever. His ultimate is decent, but it's not... It's like a worse Cloak and Dagger ultimate, I would say. Yeah. I'm going to put him in C. I don't care. Moving on. Doctor Strange. Also, Captain America is pretty limited with his kit. He can pretty much only do melee attacks. I know the shield toss is there, but it's not really that good. Doctor Strange is probably... I'm going to put him not as the best tank in the game. No, I'm going to put him here. I'm going to put him here. And the reason why, this is the only reason why. This is literally the only reason why he's not S tier. If the game ran perfectly, when he used his portal, he'd be S tier. because the games don't run perfectly, if your teammates have toasters, like I've had in the past, I've had my game crash with Doctor Strange. I've had the game just pretty much freeze up, and then all of a sudden we have an enemy team behind us. Yeah, Doctor Strange, his portal is the only thing that makes it weak. His portal's really, really good, but it causes so many performance issues that I'm not giving him S tier. But he is probably the best tank in the game. He just struggles because he does kind of hurt your own team because they can't run the game that well when a Doctor Strange uses a portal. There's been so many times I've had Doctor Strange use a portal, and it's like my game's about to crash, and I'm like, brother, we're on the same team. You know, I can't help you because I can't see these enemies that are hitting everyone. You know, I'm 3 frames behind everyone. You know, so it is what it is. But outside of that, he's got great damage, fantastic damage, great damage blocking potential, literally just the Reinhardt with range. And then his ultimate can just pretty much cause a group wipe by stunning all the enemies. You can also use it to hold down payloads or points if your team, or if an enemy team's approaching, and then you just ult to like buy some time. Pretty good way of doing it. While also getting damage on them. He can pretty much ult and kill almost any squishy in the game, like almost any DPS or support in the game after ulting and just landing his shots. So, yeah, I think he's really good. I don't think Doctor Strange has a lot of weaknesses. His biggest weakness, I'd probably say, is that if you're going into a range comp, he is almost useless. He does have the ability to fly and everything. And there's been many Doctor Strange who want to 1v1 Iron Mans in the sky for some weird reason. But if he goes against, like, a really mobile, like, Star-Lord, or, like, a Scarlet Witch can even cause problems for Doctor Strange, Panther, like, a lot of the lower-tier characters cause problems for him. But they get countered easily, so I think he's fine here. I would probably put him as S-tier, but S-tier characters, in my opinion, have very little to any weaknesses. But Doctor Strange, I think, does have some weaknesses. Moving on, we have Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is fundamentally good. Like, his kit's pretty good. His ultimate's decent. But I think at the end of the day, he's not, like, the craziest impact character. So, I think I'll just put him here. I think he's good. Like, his damage is crazy. And I think with Mantis's damage buff, he probably does have potential to one-shot characters, but he's kind of just a better Hanzo. And in this game, because everyone's a better version of Overwatch characters, it doesn't really mean too much. Because he is weak, doesn't have great survivability. Yeah, I'm just going to put him in B. Moving on, we have Groot, my main. I think Groot is sneaky good. I think Groot is probably top 3 tanks in the game right now. I do think he's probably top 3 tanks in the game right now. I think he contests with Penny, only because Groots that know how to place their wall can kind of just drastically change the game. Sometimes a Groot wall will help the enemy team, but normally when a Groot wall is placed, you're able to like heal up your own team, especially if a Groot's paying attention to his own team, like me. So Groots are really good at providing support to their team. So yeah, I'm just going to put Groot here. I think he is top 3 tanks in the game. Great health, big hitbox, but it's also good for healing. Synergies kind of suck in terms of like team up abilities, but I'm not ranking it based off that. Yeah, I think he's top 3 tanks in the game. Moving on, we have Hela, S tier damage. I don't need to say anything. Great ultimate, literally gives you ×3 HP, while also having a second boss HP bar. Insane damage. Yeah, I don't need to say anything about him. Or about her. Hulk. I think Hulk kind of sucks, and I think a lot of people who play Hulk think he's good, but I just think he's bad. He is kind of a worse diva, and once you get Hulk out of his Hulk form, he is probably the most frailest character in the game with no kit at all. And I know that's the point, obviously. Bruce Banner, like, he's supposed to be the weak, frail dude, but yeah. Hulk kinda is Hulk until Hulk gets bursted down, because he thinks he can face tank everything, and you have to play walls. He has no shield. He has no, like, yeah. I think I'm just gonna put him here with Captain America, to be honest. I think there's ways you can make Hulk work. His ultimate is pretty decent, but, like, every character's ultimate is in this game is pretty good. other than maybe like Wolverine's and maybe Spider-Man's and maybe Black Widow's, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's my rankings. I play the game a little bit. I am gold 1, and yeah, I thought I'd just do this tier list for fun because I play the game. If you're new around here, I do passionate picks for MMA, and I do pretty much any content I'm passionate about. I upload daily slops, so feel free to check in. I'm building an empire, and I'll be around for a very long time. But with all that being said, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, dealing with my sick, snuffly ass nose. And yeah, with all that being said, thanks for watching. As always, I hope you have a good day.